Hey guys, today we're talking about the reasons why Korean women don't get fat. The secrets of the Korean diet. So Korean women are never fat. Just Asian women in general, but Korean women particularly. There's this whole thing online about all these weird K-pop diets. They are almost alarmingly skinny at some times. Like, Asians just have a different standard of skinniness. I remember once I went to China to film something and I was like probably 10 pounds skinnier than I am now. And I showed up and the director told my manager that I was like way too heavy.
No way.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah, seriously.
I noticed that in Crazy Rich Asians. I loved that movie because it was great to showcase Asian Americans in the media, but at the same time, I couldn't help but stare at those girls' arms and they were so tiny.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa.
So let's get started with the list. Number 1, Korean women eat a ton of veggies. This is part of the reason why I love Korean barbecue so much. You get greeted with this huge banchan spread. And I feel like the Korean barbecue banchan spread is bigger than the typical restaurant.
Oh yeah.
More sumptuous.
Absolutely. And they have so many different pickled vegetables. They have cabbage, and most of the diet is really, really vegetable based, and maybe just a little bit of side of rice. So those veggies, those banchans are like the bomb. They make you full, but you're not getting all like the heavy carbs from the bread and butter and stuff like that.
And we can learn about this from the American diet where it's like meat, like this big, potato, and then like maybe some vegetables, maybe not.
Like the lettuce on the cheeseburger.
Yeah, lettuce, like a salad, like a not very nutritious salad with tons of dressing on it. Number 2, Korean women walk everywhere. Not here in the States, but in Korea, and I think in all different countries. It's just an American thing to try everywhere.
In Korea, there's so much public transportation. It's so integrated in the way that people get to work, get to here and there. And when you get dropped off at public transportation, you gotta walk to the next public transportation stop. When I was there, I would have my little Fitbit thing, and I was walking probably about like 6,000 to 7,000 steps a day. You walk a lot.
And it's not really our fault, I guess. Like, California is so spread out and we don't have that setup where it's convenient to walk anywhere. So, but you can always try to incorporate more walking into your diet or your exercise routine. Number 3 is Korean women avoid fast food. We're starting to see that in Asia where they are starting to gain weight because so much American fast food is there now. But they probably eat such a small percentage of fast food compared to how much Americans eat.
And fast food in Korea is different than like the standard cheeseburger, although now the fried chicken is slowly starting to integrate, and of course Western influence. But fast food would be like a bowl of jjajangmyeon or jjampong. That's fast, you know, you can get noodles really, really quick. You can get bibimbap really, really fast. So fast food, to their perception, is a lot different. It's gonna be less greasy, it's gonna have way more spice and vegetables, and be a lot lighter in general. So number 4 is they eat sweets in moderation. When I was growing up, we didn't really have a lot of desserts, and my mom wasn't really a big dessert fan. She always cut up fruit at the end of the night and said, "This is your dessert." So I think that's a
Chinese
pretty
restaurant,
Asian.
you get like the orange slices.
Yeah, exactly, you get orange slices. So sweets aren't really a big thing in Asian culture, and in Koreans, they didn't really eat a lot of sweets.
When you have dessert at a Chinese restaurant, even if it is a dessert, it's like a bowl of red bean soup. It's not like a piece of creme brulee cake or cheesecake, which is like a bomb of calories. Next up is that Korean women eat fermented food at every meal. Every single meal, basically.
Yes. Kyla knows always having stomach problems. So I was like, I wonder if I eat more fermented foods because there's probiotics in it. There's like a diet, and not a study. It's not a diet that eating fermented foods every day actually helps your gut bacteria and helps you lose weight. So,
oh really?
Yeah, so the kimchi and all like the pickled vegetables, I think really impacts and makes a difference on the diet of Korean women over there.
I need to add some more kimchi into my diet.
The next one is they eat way more seafood, and especially seaweed. There's this soup called mukbang, which is a birthday soup, and they have just basically like a bunch of seaweed stewed and some chicken or beef. And that seaweed, I tell you, it is packed with vitamin A. It's packed packed with fiber. You feel like you ate like a Thanksgiving meal, but it's just seaweed, so it's so good for you.
And I had it at a lot of meals where they'll just serve the squares of dried seaweed and you could just wrap your rice in it, and that's so good because the seaweed's so umami bombed and has a salty flavor throughout.
They like make the little perfect bites.
Next up, Korean women love their tofu. I feel sorry for you if you don't love tofu, and that's a lot of people actually don't.
I wonder what, they just haven't had it right.
Yeah, I guess, how do Americans eat tofu? Not in any way I can think of that I would want to, I guess.
Yeah.
Sundubu. Oh my god.
So good.
Yeah. I mean, tofu comes in so many consistencies in Korean food. You can have it fried as a banchan with onions and some soy sauce. You can have it soft and silky in stew. And there's a million variations in between. So I love tofu, and tofu can serve as a protein and replace meat in many Korean meals.
That's actually really true. My mom was pescatarian, so we ate a lot of tofu all the time. A lot of the times tofu is like a sponge. So when you cook with it, it just soaks up all the flavors, the juices, the stews. It is my favorite thing. I could literally go vegetarian because tofu exists.
Oh my god, I just want to throw in that I hate vegetarian food when they have the fake meat. Like if you're just vegetarian, just don't eat meat. I just don't like. Okay, the Impossible Burger is good, but like there's weird, like I've had it where it's just really bad.
Tofurkey?
Yeah, it's weird. Just replace it with tofu.
Yeah. Next up, they drink more tea than soda. I'm terrible because I absolutely love soda, and I try to justify my soda intake with diet, but apparently diet sodas are actually
it's worse. Yeah.
But for some strange reason, I think there's drugs in soda because I'm addicted to diet soda now. But tea is so good for you. It gives you energy. It's packed with vitamins. It's good for your digestion, good for your stomach, and it's just very nourishing.
Yeah, growing up, we never really ordered sodas with our meals. I loved a soda and still do, but at dinner time, we would just drink water, and at restaurants too, whereas it's more customary in American culture to order a soda or a fruity drink or something to pair along with your dinner.
Stay away from those big gulps.
Next up, they avoid processed foods. This is a huge one, and it has to go, we kind of touched on it with fast food, but Koreans just have a lot more healthy snacks. They're not snacking on potato chips or Twinkies, for example.
If you ever go to like the Asian grocery store, pick up some Korean snacks, sometimes they have like fried snacks, but a lot of the times they'll do rice crackers instead.
Korean than Asian.
And if you look at the back of the nutrition fact, this is 26 crackers. We are not endorsed by Trader Joe's at all. But this has 26 crackers for one serving, 110 calories, 0 fat. These types of snacks are an extremely healthy alternative. And to eat 26 crackers is a lot of crackers.
It's a lot of crackers.
You know, you probably only have a handful, which is maybe like 10. So that would be like 50 calories. So like these types of snacks are way better alternatives, and they taste really good.
They're good, yeah.
Next up is they eat well-balanced meals. And a lot of the times, our perception in America is skewed of what a well-balanced meal is.
It's propaganda. People trying to sell dairy and trying to.
That is 100% true, and you can ask any vegan or vegetarian person that. A well-balanced meal is, there's just so many vegetables, like we said, fermented vegetables, and the carbohydrates, they're not processed, like we said earlier, it's just rice. Maybe the most processing that's gonna happen is noodles, which is like a rice flour or just a regular flour, but there's not a lot of processing, and you get most of your intake of food is from vegetables and extra side dishes.
So delicious. Oh, yeah. Next up, they enjoy homemade food. Korean women just know how to cook. Like, especially their moms. Like, whenever I had a Korean boyfriend, the mom's cooking was just amazing. Chinese mothers, not as consistent. So these mothers, you know, they make their own kimchi, they make their own banchans. So yeah, homemade food.
Oh yeah. Next up, they eat a lot of soups and stews. So soups and stews are the bread and butter of Korean cuisine. There's always a soup, there's always a stew, no matter what you eat, whether it's breakfast, lunch, or dinner, there's always gonna be accompanied soup or stew. Generally, these soups and stews are a lot lighter, unless you're having it as an entree, like a sundubu. Then it's gonna be a little more heavy, it's got more like goodies inside there. Or you can share like a budae-jjigae, and that's gonna have a ton of stuff in there. But most of the time, they're always gonna accompany your like main entree with like a clear soup with maybe a little bit of vegetables in it.
That's weird. When I think of all the stews, they seem really seafoody. Like it's not a ton of meat. It's not these heavy meat like a beef stew, American beef stew, or a bunch of potatoes and meat. There's a lot of veggies in there, a lot of tofu, and maybe rice cakes, and a lot of fish.
Next up is they don't eat bread. So this is a huge thing. Bread is honestly one of my favorites. I could literally stick my face in a loaf and just be solid for the rest of the year. The problem with bread is it's so heavily processed. I used to bake a lot of bread at home, and there's just a lot of stuff going on, and there's a ton of sugar in bread. You'd be surprised. Yeah, I didn't even know there was sugar. You wouldn't think, but it activates the yeast. So you're eating a ton of carbs on top of the flour carbs that you're eating. Bread's not really big in Korea. You don't have bread really at all unless you go to like a Western dessert place or get a sandwich from some type of Western influence. So
yeah, you're pretty hard pressed to get bread. And sandwiches are such a staple of American lunches. And back to Koreans, they're eating the stews and the veggies and everything. And here's another thing I want to put in a bit in is all these carbs, people avoiding rice. These people eat rice at every single meal and they aren't fat, and it'll be a full bowl, so I don't think rice is the culprit here. Next up, they eat a minimal breakfast. I love American breakfast, chicken and waffles and like all the fixings and everything, but it's not something you can eat every single day. That's like a special occasion breakfast situation. But Koreans, they eat similar to a lunch and dinner for breakfast, and probably just a smaller portion.
Exactly. Yeah, and so like the difference would be in breakfast time, they'll probably just have a bowl of rice and soup. And then lunch, they'll have like, you know, bowl of rice, soup, and some kind of meat or side thing. And then dinner, they'll probably do a shared stew.
Just back to portions. Americans want so much. They want like these plates like this, and they want 100 options. But you don't need all of that for it to taste good and yummy and high quality. So that's our list of the top 14 reasons why Korean women don't get fat. And there are some actually secrets here that we can all incorporate into our diets. So comment below, what kind of diet do you practice and what are you taking away from the tips?
And if you liked what you saw today, don't forget to subscribe below, and we will catch you later.